Welcome back to the Good Eye Podcast. My name's Jay Smack, and today my guest is no stranger to this show, a friend of the show, you might say. It's Sara Daves. Sara is an intuitive purpose coach, and she is straight up an empath. You talk about channeling energy and channeling and feeling all the energy that surrounds her. She's a fascinating and just absolutely inspirational person to talk to. I love talking to her. And she has put together this conference that kicks off on Monday called the Oneness World Summit. That's the short version. She's going to get into all the details. But it is super reasonable at $21, and you get all these great speakers directly to your inbox. So rather than me try to do it justice, let's get right into it. This was kind of an impromptu conversation. We happened to be at the same meeting together, and I said, hey, why don't you come on and talk about the summit? So that's what we do. So I'll let her take it from here. Here's my conversation with Sara Daves on today's Good Eye Podcast. All right. Welcome, Sara.
Thanks, Jay. Thanks for having me.
You have a lot going on these days, especially these days. So let's just jump right into it. You are an intuitive purpose coach. You help people, up until now, primarily women, females, find their purpose and manifest their purpose. You're expanding. Let's get into, I guess, the expansion. That kind of gets us to the subject because you've been on this show a couple times, but you have put together a big event, and I'm going to let you describe it and say the whole name and how people can find out about it. So give us a little bit of background about you and what led you to this big event and what it is.
Yes. Okay. So it is a big event. It's a virtual event. It's called Anchoring the Consciousness of Oneness World Summit 2020. It's a long name. So I've been calling it the Oneness World Summit for short. And basically what this is, it's a group of people who are experts in the concept of oneness in one way or another, have come together to share their philosophies and their ideas and their tools about oneness and how we can access it. I mean, it's always here, right? But how we can remember that we are all connected. And I thought it was an ideal time with the close of 2020 to decide to do something different next year and for years to come, because we have gone through a lot in the last year with the pandemic and the social injustice, and we're feeling separation more than ever before, with the isolation of having to stay home and those sorts of things. So this is for people who are looking to find connection and, create connection with other people and just remove the idea of separation from their perspective or their reality.
That leads into a good opportunity because people are feeling the separation. What exactly is oneness for people who may not be up on the space or the mindfulness thing, but are looking to get into it? What is oneness in relation to this event?
Yeah. Okay. So oneness is really the truth of all that is. We are connected on a fundamental level. We do experience separation in our third dimensional reality, because, Newtonian physics teaches us that there's particles in space and then there's some empty space. But really, the more fundamental reality is it through quantum physics, where we know that supposed empty space is actually energy. And we are made up of energy. Somebody said to me a couple of years ago, and I've never forgotten it. It says, a girlfriend of mine, she's a holistic healer. And she said that if we took all of the human beings in the world and put all of the matter that they're comprised of, and they squished it together, it would be the size of a sugar cube. That's wild.
The actual matter. And
The actual matter.
Again, just for the purpose of background, the quantum view and the quantum field, it's basically the law of probability, and the fact that, and to your point, that the matter is the subatomic particles, electrons, neutrons, protons, etc., but that they're spinning so fast in orbit that it's really mostly like 0.9999999% energy versus that 0.00001% matter. And that's your point, that you took all those electrons, neutrons, and protons, all the subatomic matter, and condensed it. Now, did you say all of the people, all humans, or all living things?
All human beings.
The size of a sugar cube. That is mind-blowing.
I know.
And so the theory of oneness, or the subject of oneness, addresses that. Now, tell us a little bit about some of the speakers and what sort of things they're going to be talking about.
Yeah, so we're covering all kinds of different things. We're covering some holistic modalities that came out of A Course in Miracles, which is a spiritual book. And there's some practical applications that people are going to be sharing with everyone, just to kind of help us get to a place where we can look at the world a little bit differently, and really start to understand unity consciousness, and that we are responsible. Everyone, we're all responsible for the state of the world, and we're responsible in regards to our thoughts that we think, how we practice self-care, even, what blocks or, resentment we might be holding on to, because that's energy, and that goes out into the world, and it permeates. So we're going to be learning about resiliency and compassion for other people, and how to recognize each other's shared humanity. We have this man, Jean-Pierre Weil. He is an author and illustrator of this amazing book called The Well of Being, a children's book for adults. And he's kicking off our summit. He's going to be talking about the Well of Being. And this book is all about oneness. It kind of talks about what we're doing here and why, and how our conditioning has shifted our perspectives to believe in this illusion of separation. And he lives in Jerusalem, and he can see Bethlehem from his window. And I think that's really neat, considering we're starting this whole event. We're kicking it off on December 21st, and that's the grand conjunction that marks the date of the grand conjunction of Jupiter and Saturn. And that will emulate the Star of Bethlehem. So it's it's synchronous. There's so many things going on that day. And so it's neat that we're starting there.
Now, you say emulate the Star of Bethlehem. Haven't you mentioned that is what a lot of people believe the Star of Bethlehem actually was the conjunction of Jupiter and Saturn at that time, and it's only happened once since then, I think?
Yeah. So, when I heard about this, I started researching, and there were a few different ideas of what the Star of Bethlehem actually was. I learned a long time ago that it was Venus and Jupiter together. But, regardless, maybe this is our time. This is our Star of Bethlehem in our lifetime. This is marking a grand conjunction that is moving us, Jupiter is moving out of the Earth signs, which is, that's been happening for 800 years. In the last 200 years, it's been in Capricorn. And we now have the man-made mass on the planet weighs more than the biomass. We can thank the Industrial Revolution for that. And I'm not judging it or saying that it's bad, but that's what came out of this. That's what came out of Jupiter and Capricorn. And now Jupiter's going to be moving through all of the air signs. So it's a very different way of thinking and our priorities will shift, and it will be less about the material items that we can collect and own, and it will be more about collecting information and knowledge and wisdom. And so humanity is shifting into a brand new paradigm, so to speak.
Well, let's hope.
So, yeah.
And it begins the 21st, 12/21. Yes. A lot of balance in that date. It's a palindrome. Speak a little bit, if you would, to what you think of, say, astrology and numerology together versus the fact that calendars are really just theoretical. I mean, you go from December 31st to January 1st. We're really no different. It's all really what we're projecting, to your point, into the quantum field and what we're thinking and how we perceive it. Some people say it's, and I'm not belittling it, but some people say the whole numerology, astrology thing is nonsense because we are beings, even if we're energy, even if we're just energy, why should we think that existentially, at least, things should be different from one date to the next and why dates are important?
Yeah. Wow. Well, that's a huge question. It's like we are here on this planet and we're looking up into the stars and we're seeing what we see. If we were on a different planet in a different solar system and maybe a different universe, who knows, we would be experiencing something else. But this is ancient knowledge. And I'm not an astrologer at all, and I'm not a numerologist. But I have, over the last, decade, maybe, surrounded myself with people who have this knowledge, and the synchronicities are undeniable.
Yeah. It is pretty wild. And, people can make whatever they want out of their own belief systems, but they are definitely things that we can utilize, whatever gets you through the day, they say, to create a more positive future. And going back to the quantum field, intention is a big deal, Yeah. If you strive to be a good person, more likely than not, you will end up being kind of a good person. You're not necessarily going to be forced to be someone full of hate. And I mean, environmental factors are definitely influences and influence how we see and treat the world. But intention is a huge thing, and the quantum field and quantum intention has a lot to do with that. So where can people find out about the Oneness Summit and get involved? And it was surprisingly reasonable, especially if you're into thought and broadening your horizons, or even if you've been in the space a long time, there's a lot to offer. So where can people find out about it?
Yeah, so you can go to my website, saradaves.com, and that's Sara without an H. And right at the top of my website, there's in the upper hand navigation, it says Oneness World Summit 2020. You can just click on that, and that will take you to the event page. And you can learn all about the different speakers. We have 21, and I believe we'll have a couple more as bonus speakers later on. So this is going to run from the 21st through the 27th. And every day, viewers will receive an email with links to these interviews in their inbox. And it's going to go right through the holidays. So if people don't have time to watch them, then that's okay. You can watch them up until the end of April 2021, and you can watch them as many times as you want. So it's and this information is like, all of these interviews are amazing, and I have listened to them more than once, for other purposes, but I'll be listening to them again, over and over again, because there's so much wisdom in all of them.
Now, here we go with numbers again. Was that intentional? 12, 21 interviews ushering in 2021. Was that all intentional?
I know. Well, so no, not really. Not really. So we thought we were going to launch in October. And, the thing about, in the manifesting realm, right? And that's where I live most of the time. I don't like to push things into, into manifestation. So I'm co-creating all the time. And if I feel like I'm pushing or I hit a wall, I just stop and I wait for inspiration or I wait for an opening and then I move forward again. So, because I'm trusting in the universe that everything will work out the way it's supposed to. And so just, October 10th was going to be the date and it didn't happen. And, there's no way to make it happen. So, okay, well, let's try November 11th. Well, that didn't happen. And that was the date of our 2018 Oneness World Summit, the first one. And that was an 11 year. So that was pretty interesting. So, but then that didn't happen. So I said, okay, maybe December 12th. That didn't happen. So, I'm trying to find these, I'm trying to make it, start on a day that has a bit of energy from the numerological perspective, but I never thought it was going to be at the end of the year because, from a marketing perspective, really, like everybody's doing their Christmas or their holiday stuff. And it just wasn't a smart move from that perspective. But we've got the Grand Conjunction, we've got the winter solstice, the return to light. We are in the middle right now of some planetary movement. Today, the 14th, actually it's happening. It started a minute ago. The solar eclipse in
Really?
Sagittarius.
Again, a 21. That was 11/21 as we're recording this. That's crazy.
You can't make this stuff up.
No, you can't.
It's wild.
11:22 right now, and you said it was a minute ago. That's
solar
literally
eclipse
11:21.
is second in a pair of eclipses. The first one was November 30th that brought endings and helped us kind of get clear on what we wanted to release. And this is intention setting time today and really yesterday. And then tomorrow, there's a 3-day window to set your intentions to manifest what you want. And really as a humanity, as a society, as a collective being, what we are moving into a brand new paradigm. So this intention setting time could impact the rest of your life. So it's a perfect time to watch this summit.
That's incredible. Now, you mentioned something a few minutes ago I wanted to bring back. You were talking about, if you weren't feeling the creative energy or motivational energy, to just not force it. And there's science behind that as far as what your brain waves are doing at any one time, whether they're alpha, beta waves is usually what we're working in. The kind of mid frequencies, they're not too fast, not too slow, but the creative frequencies, when you kind of lose yourself in something, especially when something becomes just memory, is that no, alpha is the sleep waves, but it's the next one after that. So what, I guess the point of my comment is just say that often there's science behind a lot of what you're talking about. It's hard to quantify it scientifically when you're talking about intention and manifestation, but it all goes into the same bucket as far as where you put your energy, where you put your intention. So at any rate, I got a ticket. It's $21, of course. Was that it? That's got to be intentional. No?
Well, it's 21 speakers, $21.
Oh, okay, there you go. So It's kind of, but it's pretty nutty. And I would encourage people to check it out. Go poke around. And $21 for all that knowledge, especially even if you're just a curious person. As a person of balance, I'm always about the caveat and about the justification, because I like to have the whole picture, but it's all there. So go check it out at saradaves.com, and good luck with it. I'd like to get your feedback after it's all said and done. I'm going to watch them, but I'd like to get your feedback as far as how it went.
Yeah, awesome. So in 2018, we crossed the globe, so I'm hoping we're going to do that again.
Well, good luck, Sarah. You're always up to cool stuff, and I appreciate you taking some time. Good luck with the summit.
Yeah, thank you so much, Jay.
Always cool to talk to Sarah, so I urge you to go to her website for all the details. and you can click your way through to the summit from there. It's Sara without an H, Daves.com. And while you're there, check out the other stuff she's doing as well. All of it very worthy is an understatement, but inspirational, important, focused, all based in putting good energy out into the world. Quite frankly, it's pretty much that simple. So go in and check all that out at saradaves.com. And check in with me if you'd like. If you'd like to make some suggestions about the show, if you'd like to engage, hit me up at goodeyepodcast@gmail.com, or you can just hit me up directly if it's easier to remember, j@jsmack.com. Please do share, like, subscribe, all that stuff. It helps keep the show going. And if you have any guest ideas, hit me up with that as well. And until next time, thank you very much for your attention and intention. And until next time, see you back here on the Good Eye Podcast. Try to look at life with your good eye.